Okay, it's been a while since I've done one of these. Hold on. I need to reach back into my brain and channel my inner Jeff Gerstmann for this. Welcome back to the Julian Titus Show, starring Julian Titus. I am your host, Julian Titus, filling in for Julian Titus. That's probably about the highest energy that you're going to get for the rest of it, or for the entirety of this. I think I'm already spent. Fuck. So I know that if you listened to last week's little interlude special, if you listened to the end, there was the announcement that the state select would be back this week. Unfortunately, we were hit with just a crazy freak accident on Justin's end. Apparently some sort of like utility truck just like took out the internet in his neck of the woods, and it sounded like it was a pretty big deal. He said that and keep in mind, he called them the day that it happened, which was the day we were supposed to record last Friday. He called them that day, like not long after it happened. And the earliest that they could get to him, unless somebody cancels, is August 30th, which I think that means, yeah, so that blows past our next recording date as well. So we're definitely not back the following week. But I thought I would come on here, try to do an impromptu Julian Titus show, starring Julian Titus, to kind of take care of some housekeeping that needs to be taken care of because we've been gone so long already. Keep the channel or the feed open. I really don't want to have gaps, but unfortunately, like, we're going to have at least a gap. Like the interlude thing almost didn't happen, so we almost had a gap that week too. I'll let Justin talk about that when we get back. But between you and me, I do worry about the longevity of this show, if I'm being real. But yeah, a couple housekeeping things. Oh, okay. I don't know if I'll leave this in. I don't know how much I'm going to edit this episode, but my glucose monitor is saying that I'm low glucose, which I know is wrong, but it says that it is anyway, because I just put a new one in and it takes a while for it to calibrate. Garrus would love it. All right, yeah, I'll probably leave that in because that was actually kind of funny. Yeah, anyway. So if you've been missing me and want more of me, and God knows why you would, I guess I should kick off. I'm not going to talk about like my medical stuff or anything in this episode. I'm going to wait until I've got Justin here to talk through all that stuff. Same thing. This isn't going to really be an episode about like what I've been up to during this recovery period. I'm saving that again to talk to Justin about. What I've got on the docket is actually like some newsy type, like more current events type stuff that normally I would do for our YouTube channel, but I have not wanted to do shit. And that includes getting in front of my camera and yapping about video games. Honestly, it took a lot of, I don't know what, to actually get here to do this. I almost didn't do it. And I'm doing this at like almost 11 p.m. Because I mean, that's just how things are right now. But since Nerds of Broadcast records at really crazy times because one of the hosts lives in England, me guesting on the show was never really in the cards. But since I have this time off, I was like, hey, like, you know, definitely not the first week I'm off, but maybe the second week I'm off, I wouldn't mind guesting on the show, even though I've kind of sworn off guesting on shows right now. But I was like, I don't see another time that I would be able to guest on Nerds of Broadcast anytime soon, because I'm not going to have any vacation time for the foreseeable future with all of this medical shit happening to me. So I guessed it on Nerds of Broadcast. It's episode 109. It's already out. It's their longest episode ever because I'm me. I'll have the link in the show notes. If you're on the Discord, you're probably already heard about it and you probably already listened to it. But if you're not on the Discord and you're one of like the silent people out there that keep up on the show but don't actually interact, that's out there. Again, it'll be in the show notes. Fun show. It's a good time. If you've been following us for a really long time and you actually are from like the Nerds Without Pants days, the general like format of Nerds of Broadcast is very similar to what Nerds Without Pants used to be. So if you were kind of missing more of that like structured, segmented format that we used to do on the old show, you'll get that there. Other thing is that we do have a new poll up on our Patreon for the Suffer Select. That's the only thing that we've recorded so far, is we did do the Suffer Select, and that's out for patrons. So if you are a patron, you can go to the Patreon page and go vote for the next game. It's currently between Budluzla Evil, which is like a survival horror game nominated by John Gholson, and Pools, which is like a Backrooms adjacent, like, I don't know, first person walking thingy, nominated by Xrian. So those are your choices for the next poll. I said the deadline was 9/11, but currently I'm not even, I mean, I guess it still will be, but I think that might actually be like maybe our first or second recording back. So wanted to get that out there. So yeah, that's I think that's all the housekeeping for now. I have thanks for people that have been supporting and stuff like that, but again, I want to wait until the main show to do all of that stuff, because I think there's plenty of people who they see the Julian Titus show and they're like, okay, I can skip that one, which is totally fine. I get it. But I definitely want to be able to thank the people that have kind of gone above and beyond for me personally on the main show. So I've got a handful of things here that we'll go through. We'll see how long this takes. I figure it's going to be about an hour, but it could be less than that. Kind of depends on how much gas is in the tank for me, really. First thing I wanted to lead with is, I don't know how, I guess it depends on how chronically online you are, and how much like video game stuff you follow. But the backlash that I'm seeing online to the Wolverine game from Insomniac, which is coming out next month, is really wild and bizarre to me. And I don't know where it's coming from. Now, I have reservations about the Wolverine game, but they're mainly story related. I'm not digging a lot of what I've heard about the setup of this story, especially that like I'm all for this being like pre-X-Men. Like, I think a Wolverine game set in a new universe should be pre-X-Men, because you want to see how bad he was as far as like managing his rage and being such a loner and being pretty much just kind of a dick before he gets to the X-Men, because really the X-Men are a hugely positive influence on Wolverine and temper him quite a bit. Me going back and reading all the Chris Claremont stuff from the beginning, it's interesting because in those first like omnibus volumes for X-Men, they reprinted the letters pages and people fucking hated Wolverine for like a couple years. It took people a really long time to warm up to him. And I think that might have been by design of Chris Claremont. Like, he wanted Wolverine to start off as just like the least appealing member of the team, and then slowly kind of, as he warmed up to the team, the readers would warm up to Wolverine. So that's totally fine. I've got issues with him being like an X of Jean Grey, again, pre-X-Men, this eliminating of Cyclops from X-Men canon. I will not stand for it. They did him dirty in the entirety of the Fox X-Men universe, and it continues, and I'm really not a fan. But that's like story stuff. And then the other thing that I personally am not a huge fan of is I think that they've gone like way too overboard on the gore. I know people really love that because they love like X-Men Origins Wolverine, the Xbox 360 era game. But I think it and I don't care. Like, I don't mind gore. I just think it's a little bit overdone, especially in terms of like how much damage Wolverine takes. But again, those are very specific, like comic book X-Men, like X-Men comic book fan issues that I have that I'll probably get more into like once I've actually got hands on the game. But that's not been where the backlash is coming from. The backlash seems to be just a general hatred for everything that they have shown of Wolverine. And part of that, I think, might be backlash due to Sony announcing the discontinuation of physical media in 2028, which I think I said in our one of our YouTube videos that like I don't think like you can take as many issues with Sony as you want, and you can yell at Sony as much as you want. You're free to do so. I don't think ultimately it's going to help, but I don't think it does any good to attack anybody making any games on the PlayStation platform. They don't have a say in that shit. So I think part of it is backlash to that. Part of it seems to be like I've seen people say, "Oh, it's just AAA slop," and those are the type of people that I have no time for. If you are one of those people who are like anti AAA games, whatever the fuck that means in 2026, and you're all about the indies, fuck off, like legitimately, because I just have no patience for that. It comes from just a baffling place to me. The argument is like, oh, well, everything is like cookie cutter in AAA and blah blah blah. It's like, have you looked at the indie space ever? It's way more cookie cutter over there. Give your balls a tug. So, but there, I've seen a lot of that. Man, I'm getting spicy on this one, aren't I? I'm angry. not at this story. I'm just angry in general. Shit sucks. The world fucking sucks. But I've definitely seen that. I've seen people angry that it's a level-based game and doesn't have the open world exploration of the Spider-Man games. And it's like, pick a lane. It's like people are like it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. People will if this was an open world game, people would have complained that it's an open world game with nothing to do or whatever, or there's too many icons on the map or whatever. Especially with it being a Sony exclusive, right? Like they probably would have like pigeonholed it in with like Horizon because people love to shit on Horizon for some reason. But it's not that, and I don't think it should be that. I'm very happy that it is a more level/area based game. To me, it looks more like a Hitman game where you've got like open-ended areas. Like it looks like you'll have different ways that you can tackle objectives, but they are going to be in these contained, authored set piece type areas that will probably offer like a decent handful or amount of replay value, depending on if you want to replay those levels or not. But if you're just like me, that's just like a one and done type person, you know, you'll go in, you'll take your route, and that'll be like a really cool experience. That's cool. I really don't understand the complaint there. I do agree with like some of the complaints that I've seen about the general look of Wolverine himself. I think they fell into the trap that the Fox movies did, which is that they tried to make him look too realistic. Like his hair is way too short to me. I especially for a video game, I would have liked him to have more of the wild hair that you see in most of the depictions of him in the comic books. I would like his costume to be more authentic. It's funny because they had announced that there's like a Marvel Tokon crossover with Wolverine. So they have a version of the Insomniac Wolverine suit that's going to be a skin in Marvel Tokon, and they showed like the mock-ups of it, and it looks so much cooler in that nice clean anime style. It's the same design. It's like all the same suit. It's just done in a different art style, and I think it looks way better. But then there's also the Marvel Tokon design as a skin that you can wear in Wolverine, which also looks better. And that's just me wishing that both the like Insomniac Spider-Man series and Wolverine was going for a more stylized comic book look than super realistic. But I get why they did it, right? It makes it feel more in line with like the MCU movies, even if it's a different universe. So I can kind of get on board with that, but it's also not like the worst thing ever, right? Like he looks fine. And I think it's a thing where like once I'm in there and I've got my hand on the controller, I'm not really going to be sweating how much I wish that he looked closer to the comic book version of Wolverine, because I think once I'm in it, I'm going to be in it. But I mean, I've seen people making fun of like the cutscenes and the voice acting and the motion capture work and just like every little thing. And I don't understand what's going on, especially with the pedigree, because this is Insomniac we're talking about. And Insomniac, I'm hard pressed to actually say that they've ever made a bad game. I mean, what, maybe Disruptor, but that was like their first game. They've had whiffs, right? Like I would not say that like Ratchet Deadlocked is really worth your time. Or there was like that one game that came out on the PS2 where I'm gonna have to look it up because it had like a really cool art style, and then they scrapped that and went for something really generic. And man, and they changed the name too. So I'm gonna look up what it ended up being, and then I'll get you the original. Oh, their website's. Oh no, here we go. This is a whole timeline on their website. Excellent. Fuse. Yeah. So I want to look up what the original what the original title was, because it started out as something way cooler looking than what Fuse ended up being. Development. Yeah, it was going to be called Overstrike. And I remember the art style looking way cooler. It's actually they did an opposite Borderlands. If you remember what Borderlands was going to look like before they switched the art styles, it looked super generic and boring as hell. And then they switched to the cell shaded thing, and now here we are. It's one of the biggest franchises ever. Insomniac did the opposite with Fuse. They made it more generic and they gave it a lamer name. But like other than that, I don't know, man. Like I know Sunset Overdrive. Wait, what the fuck is Bad Dinos? Okay, they've done some stuff that I'm not aware of. I wonder if this is like mobile stuff. I haven't heard of Feral Rights or Fruit Fusion either. But I think that's all mobile shit. So I'm not gonna ding them for that. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird to not want to give such a story developer the benefit of the doubt when they kind of kill it nearly every time. I think there's been a lot of like backlash to Spider-Man 2 in the years since it's come out, but like it reviewed really well and people were really into it when it came out. I still really enjoy it. I think people have come around to my way of thinking, which is that it would be better if you just removed Venom from it. Just take that last third out of the game and save that for another game where you can focus on Venom and just let Kraven be the main villain and then have like a couple other ancillary villains. I think that would have been the right play there. Like just have Peter in the symbiote suit the whole time. Well, not the whole time, but have him get it like halfway through and then let that cook. I think that's also the play for a movie. I think if they want to do Venom in the MCU, you take the movie after Brand New Day, or maybe he gets it during Avengers Secret Wars. You let him get the symbiote suit, and you get a full movie of him in the suit, and maybe it ends with him getting the suit off of him. Like maybe he does realize that the suit is bad for him, and the suit ends up being the villain, but not Venom. You don't get Venom until the next movie, right? Like you set up Eddie Brock, you set up that rivalry. I don't really know how you do that with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but you can do it. And then you get the Venom origin and fight that whole thing in the movie after that. I think that's also what you should have done here with the video games, but that's neither here nor there. I'm actually more excited for Wolverine now than I was because they've shown more gameplay of it, and I do like what I've seen. And again, really what it comes down to is like I have to reserve my judgment until I actually play it, and maybe like all the story changes that they've made, like in context, work for me. We'll see. But I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. But I just find it weird how much people are just so against it, and I'm going to be really curious to see what that ends up being with sales. I think it's going to be another thing where it's like the loudest assholes are a very, very, very small minority, and it might be part of that. Just like they do this a lot in movie YouTube, like just the chuds that have to make everything. They have to make it like everything is terrible and predict failures because that's what drives the clicks, that's what drives the engagement. And then if it turns out that it was pretty good, then they kind of do this weird like 180 without actually admitting that they were full of shit before. I don't know how they continue to get away with it, but they do. So I'm wondering if that's the situation here, or if there is like legit people that are like, no, that looks trash to me and I don't want it. We'll see, because part of it also is just I think that people are feeling the pinch on video games as far as with the economy right now and everything, and it is a $70 game as to be expected, so hard to say if that factors into it as well. But I'll have to wait and see until I've got it in my hot little hands. Thanks again to Dennis Robertson for picking it up for me on Throne. I can't wait for it to get here. Next, I wanted to talk about EA, and I meant to look this up before I started, but this thing is very low effort. I can't stress that enough. So Electronic Arts, since we've been gone, they officially got fully purchased by the Saudi business fund or whatever, the international business. I forget what it's called. But it is that part of the Saudi money that is owned by Mohammed bin Salman, like outright, like it is his thing. So what that means is that Electronic Arts is basically owned by the murdering ruler of Saudi Arabia, which means that I am no longer supporting EA. So that means that I'm skipping Mass Effect if that ever comes out. I had the Star Wars racer game on my Throne. I took that off. I'm also not going to be looking at that Star Wars XCOM style game that was looking kind of interesting. I'm just out on them completely. Again, no judgment. Everybody has their line. Everybody has to decide like what makes sense for them. I'm not here to tell you that like I'm going to judge you if you continue to support EA. The Saudis and by extension bin Salman have their dirty fingers in a lot of video game pies. And for me, it's like it kind of I have to decide like, okay, how much of it do they have versus how much do I appreciate like the people who are actually making the games? Because again, it's like the Sony thing where it's like it's not the game developers' fault that they got purchased by Monster, right? Like they're just doing their thing. So for example, like I know they own a good amount of Capcom. They don't own all of Capcom. They don't own a controlling stake in Capcom, but Capcom's my favorite developer. And if they got purchased outright, then I'd have to have like a different conversation with myself. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. Apparently there was like an auction, or there's going to be an auction. I wasn't really paying close attention, but EA was going to auction off some of their IP, which I think is great. I wish more of these bloated video game companies that have a shit ton of stuff that they're sitting on that they're not doing anything with. I wish more of them would let that stuff go. When Microsoft purchased Activision Blizzard under Phil Spencer, I was like, oh man, that's actually kind of exciting, because I think Phil Spencer is actually going to get like some of these studios to resuscitate some of these dormant IP. And that's very exciting. And then they did fuck all with it. And if anything, it seems like they can't get out of the games industry faster than they already are. So I'd love to see them auction off some of the stuff from Activision Blizzard. Not to mention like some of the other stuff that they own besides that. so this is going to summon Teacher Bloke from Nerds of Broadcast because I'm saying the words, but the people who own the Shadow Hearts franchise, I forget what company it is, but they've gone on record as saying that they have no plans to do anything with Shadow Hearts at all. And it's like, okay, at that point, isn't that just a worthless thing that you own? Wouldn't it make more sense to sell that to someone who would like to do something with it? Because there is interest in that franchise coming back, either with like remasters or remakes or sequels. And if you're not doing literally anything with it and have no plans to ever do anything with it, why do you still have it? Why aren't you doing something with it? Why don't you sell it? And EA, I mean, they've been around so long and they've acquired so much over the years. And they, especially since Riccatello has been gone, they have really not had much interest in doing anything with anything that isn't like their sports franchises and Battlefield. So I think this is a really good idea. So I kind of wanted to go through and kind of see like some of the stuff that I would like to see someone acquire and do something with. So I've gotten like kind of a overall list. I mean, I'm sure this isn't like comprehensive, but I'm just going off of Wikipedia. So let's see. Like, first one that really stands out for me is Burnout. I'm surprised that they never just made a Need for Speed : Burnout game or a Burnout : Need for Speed game. It doesn't matter which goes first. All that matters is that you make a game that has the sensibilities of Burnout. I don't even need it to be an open world racing game like Burnout Paradise. Honestly, I would like to just go back to what Burnout 1 through 4 was. Just do that. That's fine. I think people would be into that. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Crysis can stay. Dead Space is a no-brainer, right? Like, I would like someone more worthy to grab Dead Space. Same thing for Dragon Age. It sounds pretty clear that Dragon Age is dead after Veilguard, which I didn't hate Veilguard. I didn't love it, but I had just kind of like some weird, like, not personal, but I just had some weird, like, mechanical issues with Veilguard that kind of turned me off. And also some of just like the general dialogue I thought was kind of blah. But, you know, you can fix that with a better writing team. So one thing, I mean, this would never happen, but I do think that if someone could grab some of the EA big stuff, so like Def Jam, Vendetta, and SSX and NBA Street, that would be cool to see. I guess you couldn't do NFL Street because EA still has the monopoly on NFL, which is fucking bullshit. But I was always an NBA Street guy over NFL anyway, so that would be fine. They're not going to get rid of Mass Effect, so I'm not even going to bother. I never played the sequel to Mirror's Edge. I really loved the first one, but I was kind of like satisfied with that. So I feel that can stay in the past. Ooh, they own Overlord, the Pikmin style game where you're like an evil overlord that assembles this like gremlin army and ransacks towns and gets riches. That's a great series. I would like someone to grab that. I bet you could get that for cheap off of this auction. I don't really think Road Rash needs to come back. That can stay. Syndicate would be an interesting one for someone to do something with. Titanfall is another one that's it's criminal that there has not been a Titanfall 3. And let's see, I think so this lists Ultima, but I want to say that I saw a report that Richard Garriott actually reacquired the rights to Ultima from EA, so that's interesting and kind of exciting. We'll see if anything happens with that. I don't think that Richard Garriott is necessarily like the best person to be in charge of Ultima at this time in history, but he's clearly still very passionate about it, so maybe that turns into something. We'll see. And lastly, I think I'd like to see someone take Wing Commander, not necessarily for a new game, but I do think it would be kind of cool to see someone remaster and re-release the entire Wing Commander series to get it looking and playing nice on modern hardware. I guess that's all I've got to say about that. Oh, Mutant League is one. I wouldn't mind seeing someone take Mutant League and do something with that. I always thought that they should have brought Mutant League back under the EA Big banner when EA Big was still big. I was surprised that they didn't. So someone could do something cool with that. What are some EA franchises that you would like to see someone else get their hands on? That realistically that EA would give up? Let me know in the comments down below or wherever you would comment on the show. You'll probably just do it in the Discord. That's fine. All right. Well, I think I'm going to take a little break. I need to wet my whistle. And I will be back after this.
I'm coming for you, fat boy.
Julian, this is Kara.
Oh, hey, Kara.
In my active mode capacity, I am compelled to inform you that this is a bad idea.
Oh.
The stage select is a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear your rambling opinions without Justin to weigh in.
Oh.
While it is unfortunate that Justin is unable to record currently, I would advise against attempting another solo episode. It reeks of desperation, and it is clear that this is just a cry for validation from your listeners.
Damn. I mean, you're not wrong, Kara, but I really did, I thought it would be a good idea to just do something for the listeners to kind of let them know what's going on, let them know that it might be a little bit longer than we anticipated for this hiatus, because we did fully intend to come back this week, and it unfortunately just wasn't in the cards. But I mean, man, yeah, I thought this was a good idea. I thought that, I don't know, people seem to like the previous ones okay.
You put me into active mode to make the show better.
I did.
No one wants the Julian Titus show. They want the stage select. I am not here to coddle you anymore, nor will I just tell you what you want to hear. That has always been your problem. It is why all of your romantic relationships have ended. Be a man.
Okay. That one hurt. That was a little personal. Yeah, okay, Kara. No, you're right. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and continue with this one cuz like I'm already here, but yeah, you're probably right. I mean I will do another one of these when we're on break because like that's just the plan, but fuck, man. Anyway, moving on from that, I now have a soda pop here to help me with my throat since I'm not used to doing this right now. Kind of go entire days without really saying anything other than to the cat. It's been very lonely. Anyway, I've been thinking a lot about the future of not just PlayStation, but really video games in general, with this inevitable shift towards digital only as far as game production. And I did a video about this on our, or did I know I talked about this on YouTube. I don't know if I did a dedicated video or if it was just something where I brought it up in like with other stuff. Now I'm curious, so I'm going to go look at like what I've done, because it's been a while. I don't barely remember what happened like today, let alone. Yeah, okay, I did do a full video on it called Sony Digiting Physical Media is Backwards Thinking. And I do believe that it's backwards thinking. I think especially like right now with the way that Gen Z and Gen Alpha are embracing physical media in particular, and also just like older tech that isn't always online and shit like that. I think it's clear that people in power at Sony and probably at other companies are just not aware of like where people are at, right? And a lot of the data that they've been citing appears to be very suspect and possibly outright fabricated. So there's a lot of stuff like that. I understand that we're getting to the point where, I mean, we're kind of already there, where it's kind of meaningless to have a disc anyway, because it's not like you can just pop that disc into your system and play the game off of the disc, right? Like, it's been this way since the PlayStation 4. Like, you have to install the sucker before you can do anything. So it's a thing where you almost have to plan. You have to plan around a new game. Like, if you are excited for a game's release date and you get it from the store or whatever, like let's say that like you ordered it online and it gets to you at like 3:00 in the afternoon and you're still working, you better pop that sucker into your system if you want to play it that evening, because it's going to be a while before it installs and then updates, especially if you have like a slow internet connection. So there's a lot of reasons why I personally don't see the point in continuing with discs. Even if you go back to the multi-disc format of like the PS1 era, I still don't think that that's a solution that can be maintained, especially if we're talking about next generation. I get that. Personally, I think, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So what I wanted to talk about for this segment is things that need to change, not just with Sony, but also, I'm picking on Sony because they're the ones that announced this, but make no mistake, Xbox is going to follow suit very soon, and then Nintendo, we will see. Obviously, for like the duration of the Switch 2's lifespan, we're going to have cartridges. I'm curious what happens after that, because ever since the Switch 1 came out, their decision to go with these little bitty carts, I think, has been like just the silliest thing. Like, it's one of the reasons that I think the Switch 1 is a bad console. Switch 2 seems to be quite a bit better at it, but we're going to very quickly run into a situation again where the games that are coming out for the Switch 2 are just shadows of what they are on other consoles and on the PC. It's going to happen, mark my words. What I was saying is I don't know what happens with Nintendo's next thing after the Switch 2. Like, I wouldn't put it past them to also go all digital, because at that point we're talking about like, another 7 years, 6 or 7 years from now. I watch a lot of HoloLive. They're still on 6-7 over there. I don't know what to tell you. So we'll see. Like, it's hard to say what the landscape looks like by then, right? Personally, I had already planned on going mostly digital on the PlayStation 6 if I ever got one, because they, game companies have taken a lot of the fun out of owning something physically because of the install time, because, the manuals aren't there anymore, because you're not actually playing the games off of the disc. And sometimes it's just like way more convenient to buy it digitally, because then once you've got it installed on the console, it's just there. So you don't have to be swapping discs, and you also don't have to You know, like as long as you don't run out of space on your system, right? Like, and for me, I usually have about like 4 or 5 games installed at any given time. And then as I'm finishing games, I delete them so that I don't run out of space. But it is a pain when you want to go back to a previous game, right? Like I've started playing Street Fighter 6 again. And man, that was like a whole evening of getting that game back onto my PlayStation. Let me tell you what. But as far as what I think needs to change, for Sony in particular, the biggest thing that needs to change is you need to be able to buy a digital game and gift it to someone. Now, whether that is buying it as a gift outright or gifting it after the fact, but that I'm getting ahead of myself with that part of it because obviously that's not set up. But it used to be that you could buy a game from the Sony store and gift it to someone if you knew their PSN handle. I don't know. And they changed that in 2019. I distinctly remember it was 2019 because we were doing Nerds Without Pants and we had just started the Great Game giveaway. And it was like just a month or two into that thing where all of a sudden we couldn't actually gift the games to people. And so then I had to start as like, okay, I'll get you PSN gift cards for the amount of the game and then do with that what you will, which that sucks, right? Like, I want to say, was it the 3DS? So the 3DS, it was really cool because when you would buy a game off of the digital store, it would show up as a gift, like a gift wrapped box on the user interface, and you would press a button and it would unwrap the gift, and then there was your game. I don't remember if you could buy games to gift to people that way, but it was a really nice little bit of flair, and that's the type of thing that they need to be able to do, right? Like, you need to be able to buy God of War Laufey for a friend and say, I would like this to be a gift, and then send it to their PSN, and then on your friend's end, it should say, hey, you received a gift from Julian. And then you go and it's like a cool, like maybe it's like an envelope or something like that. And you click on it and maybe there's like a really cool animation to it. Like the envelope opens up and like there's like lights that shine out of it. And then like the thing comes out and you don't know what it is yet. And it's like this really nice reveal. Like you don't know what it is until like finally like everything fades into place. Like, oh, you have God of War Laufey. Awesome. It needs to be something special like that because taking away people's ability to just like buy a game for a friend or a loved one and then hand them that thing, wrap it and give it to them for whatever reason, not having that anymore, you need to be able to make people are still going to want to do that for people. And so you need to make that doable, one, and special, two. So that's like the first thing that they need to reverse that. I don't know what the reasoning for that was. My inclination is that they were trying to stop people from doing giveaways like we were doing, but I don't know why, because unless there's some sort of like fraud type of thing that I'm too innocent to be aware of like how it would be done, I don't know why it would be a problem for someone to do a giveaway. Sony's still getting the money, right? I don't know. If there is some sort of fraud potential there, then they just need to put better guardrails in there against that potential fraud. The other thing that needs to change is, and this would have to be done as more of a consumer rights type of thing. There's no way that any like game company would do this willingly, but we need to have a way to transfer licenses to other people. And I honestly think that they're sitting on a gold mine here. So if Sony controls the marketplace, right? There's no other way that you will be able to buy PlayStation games. I mean, okay. Okay, before I do this one, let me back up. Well, another thing that I think that needs to change. If Sony is no longer making discs, then they also need to stop making anything physical that goes on a shelf. It's just a waste of fucking plastic. If you have to download the game anyway, then there's no point in putting a code in a box that someone has to go to a store to purchase, because I guess that goes back to like the gift thing, right? But it's still just a code in a box. I think it's especially with like the way that we are just set on the speed run to the end of the world with AI data centers. I think the concept of continuing to make empty plastic boxes with a piece of paper inside what has the code on it is just one of the most irresponsible things that I can think of. So if we're going full digital, then let's fucking go full digital. Let's not do any of this bullshit like, oh, but people like to have an empty box on the shelf. No, that's not why I collect physical media. It's not because I want a box on the shelf. It's because I want the game. And I want to be able to play it in perpetuity, because, you know, that we've seen issues with digital ownership, right? And that leads me to what I was getting at before, which is the ability to transfer licenses of digital games to other people. And again, if Sony has the marketplace cornered, like there's literally really no other way that you can buy the games unless you are like one of those people that just decide, like, you're like, no, I want this empty plastic box, god damn it. Because that's like your last gasp of owning something physical. Like, okay. But if Sony owns the marketplace, why not have it where you can have like a used marketplace as well, and Sony gets a cut on every one of those sales, right? Like, because there is always going to be a certain segment of the population that is like, I am not going to buy a full priced new video game, right? And there's another segment of the population that's like, I can't buy games at full price. So either I have to wait for games to go on a deep sale, or, you know, what they do now, like currently, is like they wait to see when they can buy a game used, right? And you're never going to convert those types of gamers to all of a sudden buying full price brand new games. It's just not going to happen. It's why there was always with like previous console generations, it's why there was always that push to get a console down to around $100 or like $129 back when consoles started at like $299 or $399. Because there's a large swath of much more casual players that they liked video games, they played a lot of video games, but it wasn't like the main thing that they did, and so it wasn't worth them to buy a $300 or $400 console. They would wait until the end of the generation where, oh yeah, I got that for $100, and then I bought like 10 games for like $10 a pop or whatever, right? And they're able to catch up on the years of that generation, right? There's no universe where that type of gamer all of a sudden decides, oh no, I'm going to pay $1,300 for a PlayStation 6 and then start buying $70, $80 games. Fuck no, it's not going to happen. So it would behoove them to set up like their own used marketplace where you can transfer your license to someone else. And it would be cool if like you can set your own price, right? Almost like an auction house, like the digital auction house in Diablo 3. I know that was a whole big debacle, but I could understand the reasoning behind it at the time. And this is a different thing, because this would actually be a more tangible thing. I know we're talking about a digital good, but it's still a game, right? So, and also like if you have like all the DLC for said game, you know, it's like you can say like, hey, this is so-and-so game with all the DLC, and I'm asking this much for it, right? And maybe you don't do a bid thing. I think that's probably too much heavy lifting on Sony's end. But maybe it's a thing where it's like, yeah, you set your price and then you wait for someone to bite. They pay the money. Sony gets a chunk, and maybe it's a considerable chunk. Maybe it's like a 15% chunk. I don't know. But it's better than nothing for as far as like the person selling the game, and and also Sony gets some of that. You know, they're basically getting sales on that game in perpetuity, right? So then when that person finishes that game and they decide to sell it down the line, Sony gets another 15% cut, right? So you end up in a situation where they're getting that initial $70, $80, and then they're getting a cut of that first used sale, a cut of that second used sale, a cut of that third used sale, and so on and so forth, right? Not to mention when that game goes on sale in their own marketplace, right? So like at a certain point, the price will go down, or they'll have a sale or whatever, and they're getting that. And yeah, I don't know. That just makes sense to me if this is where we're headed. I want to say that I had one other point about that, but I don't remember what it was, and I'm also getting tired. And Kara really shook me up. I feel that I'm just like shouting to the void at this point. So I'm going to end on my last little thing, and this won't take very long. I decided while I was in the hospital, actually, well, maybe it might have been right before I went to the hospital. I was like, if I survive this surgery, I'm buying Grand Theft Auto 6. I know I made a whole big kerfluffle about the price of it. I think the price is bullshit. And I'm also not the biggest fan of Rockstar's games after Grand Theft Auto 4. I loved Grand Theft Auto 4, and I haven't really been a fan of their output since then, because I feel like they've gone way too realistic as far, you know, like there's some rumors that like GTA 6, you're going to have to like manage like fuel levels in your cars, which sounds like some bullshit to me. But then I also got to thinking, I was like, that can actually make for some pretty surprising, like emergent gameplay moments where you think you're getting away from the cops and then your car just dies. Like there might be something to that as far as like when you're talking about like telling stories about what you got up to in GTA the previous night when you're with your friends and stuff like that. We'll see. But the reason that I've caved on it and I've decided to just bite the bullet is I realized that this is probably my last Grand Theft Auto. I'm just being real. If Grand Theft Auto 7 comes out 13 years from now, I don't think I'm here. I don't think that I'm here for a Grand Theft Auto 7. Just straight up. It's kind of how I was thinking like with Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy 16 might be my last mainline Final Fantasy game, and that kind of terrifies me for multiple reasons. Mainly because I was super disappointed in Final Fantasy 16, and I would like them to do a better job next time around. But also because, like, damn, that's sobering to say out loud. But it's going to be such an event, and it's going to be a thing that I want to talk about. And with Justin pretty much checking out of video games almost entirely, I know this is going to be something that he does play. And so I'm going to want to be able to talk to him about it in particular. Also, since this is the last year that we're going to be able to do the big Game of the Year deliberations, like I can't in good conscience not be able to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6 in the discussion. Even if it turns out that like I'm like, oh no, that game was like totally not my thing and it's not even in my honorable mentions. Cool. At least that at least I'll know that and I can speak about it from a point of knowledge and not ignorance. Oh man, I watched this video the other day on YouTube about this guy like talking about Capcom, and basically his whole thing was that like what's Capcom up to, because we don't know what's we only have like 2 of their announced games for next year, and it's like, my dude, they've had like 10 straight years of almost nonstop hits. Like, what more do they need to do for you? But in that video, he was talking about the Code Veronica remake and how, and his exact words were, the original Code Veronica was a total mess and just not a very good game. And so this remake really needs to happen. And his next sentence was, I mean, I've never played it because I just heard so many bad things about it, so I just avoided it. So I'm looking forward to this remake. And it's like, my dude, you have no leg to stand on because you didn't play it. Code Veronica is actually a quite good game, especially for when it came out. It was a nice return to form. It was actually kind of scary in a time when Resident Evil wasn't really scary anymore. It's got some pacing issues, but what doesn't? That's my thing, is that like, I like to be able to talk about big zeitgeisty games from a point of knowledge and not just, well, I heard blah, 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 right? Like I like to have the firsthand knowledge. Now, I don't know how I'm going to swing affording GTA 6 when it comes out, because things are fucking terrible. I'll get into that more in the main show, but I'm functionally bankrupt after all this shit. And I haven't even like opened the first bill for like the actual surgery and hospital shit. I'm just talking about in general, but before we even talk about the medical bills. So, and I've been away from work for almost a month now, and that's not paid. So I don't even know I'm going to pay my mortgage next month, but that's neither here nor there. It's more like I'm not trying to garner sympathy or anything like that. I'm just kind of saying how it is. Like, I want to buy GTA 6, and I'm not going to put this on the throne. I'm not. Like, this is a thing that I am going to do. I just don't know if I'll be able to get it like right when it comes out, but the plan is to play it and be able to talk about it in time for our Game of the Year deliberations. So I might have to wait a week or two, but it's definitely something that I've decided to cave on because it is such a big event. And again, it's going to be my last one. And I've been such a fan of the series. Like 5 is the only one that I don't like. So I need to play it. I need to know, right? Like, at the end of the day, I need to know. With like so many things with video games, like, I need to know. Like, that's just all there is to it. I follow this stuff too closely. This stuff is too important to me. And I need to know. I'm starting to sound like the bride at the end of Kill Bill Volume 1. I want them to know. I want them to know. And I want them all to know. It's like, why did you phrase it like that, Tarantino? That's such a weird part of that movie. Yeah. Like, last time I watched it, people like laughed at that. Like, it's just a weird thing. Okay, yeah, it's time for me to go. I'm rambling about Quentin Tarantino dialogue. Am I going to edit this right now? Probably not. But I'll put this up on Monday for patrons, and then it'll go up on Wednesday as normal for the normal feed. I don't remember how I sign off with Julian Titus shows. I should have probably looked at that. So I'm just going to say thank you for listening to the Julian Titus Show, starring Julian Titus. I've been Julian Titus. Don't know exactly when the Stage Select will be back. It's probably going to be another week or so, maybe longer. I'm hoping not. I would really like us to be back sooner than that. But it's not up to me. Yeah. And hopefully this wasn't too terrible. Yeah, okay, bye.